It's Friday the 3rd of April from the MEN newsroom. This is Channel M's Lunchtime News and these are today's headlines. New hope over the Christie's missing cash as protesters step up their campaign to get it back.
The money was actually in a British bank. It was a UK registered bank that was actually connected to the Icelandic bank. So we are entitled to have our money back.
Also coming up, the doormen worried Manchester's not safe for them after dark.
What it is basically is it's just to take a stand, you know, and let people know, you know, just because they're doormen, you know, you hear the stories, they're not all bullies, we're not gangsters and villains, you know, we're just sat here living like everybody else.
And why travelling by tram is about to get more difficult.
What we're trying to do is look after the customers as best we can, and to do that, to try and run trams while we're doing construction work is a difficult operation, and that's what we're trying to do. So things will change as we go through different phases of the construction.
Good afternoon. First, there's fresh hope for the Christie that it might get back the £6.5 million it lost in the Icelandic bank collapse. Reports in the Manchester Evening News suggest a group of senior MPs will recommend charities get compensated for money lost over there. Ben Bland has the story.
Right, no worries.
He's the man who this week got world leaders to find $1 trillion to tackle the recession. But when Gordon Brown visited Manchester last month, he said it was difficult to get the Christie's money back because it was invested abroad. In an unexpected meeting with nurses, though, he told them he was sympathetic to their cause.
He's given us the assurance now that he's going to look into the case to find out all the, you know, the sort of the nitty-gritty behind the judicial review. So it's just great to have been given the opportunity to be able to actually really flag it up in front of him.
The money had been earmarked to open new centres in Oldham and Salford, and the issue was raised at Prime Minister's questions this week by the Rochdale MP Paul Rowan. When it first emerged that the Christie's money wasn't covered by the Financial Services Compensation Scheme, people were furious.
Why can't they get it? Isn't saving lives more important than a banker's back pocket? Because that's what it boils down to.
Channel M's sister paper, the MEN, launched a Cash Back for Christie campaign last month to try and get the charity's money back. Since then, they've got more than 37,000 signatures, including the Shadow Chancellor and the Lib Dem leader Nick Clegg. Staff and volunteers are out in the city centre today, gathering even more signatures. Louise is with them. Louise, just tell us what you're planning to do with this petition once it's complete.
We're planning to take it down to number 10 to show the government exactly the weight of support behind our campaign.
And you're also keen to point out another element of the compensation scheme, aren't you?
Yes, we are. While we're here today signing people onto our petition, we're also telling them that our money was actually in a British bank. It was a UK-regulated bank that was connected to the Icelandic bank. So we feel that we've got a good case to be able to get our money back.
OK, Louise, thank you very much. And this petition, together with the report expected from MPs tomorrow, is likely to put a great deal of pressure on the government and the Prime Minister to find some way of compensating the Christie's £6.5 million. Ben Bland, Channel M News.
A young mum holding a pram has been shot in the hand with an air rifle at a bus stop in Prestwich. The pellet struck the 22-year-old, missing her 6-month-old son's face by just a few inches. Police think whoever fired the weapon may have also targeted another young woman at a different bus stop seconds earlier. A teenage boy arrested over the rape of a 17-year-old girl in Harper Hay has been released on bail. The 16-year-old had been arrested yesterday. The alleged victim says she was dragged by the hair into woodland in the early hours of Tuesday morning after being approached by a gang of 5 men on bikes. A man's been charged with attempted murder after a teenager was stabbed in Longsight. Adam Alex accused of attacking the 16-year-old at a house on Wednesday afternoon. The alleged victim's being treated for several knife wounds in hospital that were initially thought to be life-threatening. Doormen here in Manchester have organised a vigil to protest at the conditions they have to work in. They're angry at bearing the brunt of after-dark violence. It follows the recent killing of club bouncer Kaleem Rafiq, as Kevin Duffy now reports.
The killing of nightclub doorman Kaleem Rafiq has shocked door workers across the northwest. This weekend, they intend to show just how much, says security company boss Brian McGarry.
So basically what we're doing this weekend is Saturday about 9:30 at the Printworks Manchester. We're going to have a little gathering for Kaleem and obviously, as we like to put it, the Doormen's Association. What it is basically is it's just to take a stand, you know, and let people know, you know, just because they're doormen, you know, you hear the stories, they're not all bullies, we're not gangsters and villains, you know, we're just sat away and living like everybody else.
Saturday's vigil is also a chance to voice frustration over the challenges of having to deal with drunk or violent people and, at the same time, make sure that they stay on the right side of both the law and the door security regulatory body.
Other nights where we get people from gang members want to come in quite drunk, maybe on drugs, and they get brave and we refuse them entry, they take it personal.
We don't have the respect which we really demand. It's a hard work. We are in the front line before anybody else.
Well, it's pretty quiet just now in the middle of the evening, but over the course of the next few hours, the city really will explode into life. And once again, doormen and women will find themselves trying to police that very difficult buffer zone between innocent revellers and those individuals intent on causing trouble. I'm Kevin Duffy for Channel M News.
Thanks, Kevin. Well, this follows a new tribute being paid to Kaleem Rafiq by his family. His mother, Fuzna, has described him as a golden son with a generous heart and a beautiful smile. The BBC has been fined £150,000 by Ofcom over those prank phone calls made by Jonathan Ross and Russell Brand. They left rude messages on the answer phone of Fawlty Towers actor Andrew Sachs and played out the calls last October, attracting many complaints. The corporation says they should have never been broadcast. Barack Obama's flown out of Britain following the G20 summit, which is hailed as historic. The US president's described the agreement thrashed out over dealing with the recession as a turning point. He's now moved on to Strasbourg for a meeting of NATO. Royal Bank of Scotland's former boss, Sir Fred Goodwin, is considering a voluntary reduction in his £700,000 a year pension. The bank's made the announcement ahead of its annual general meeting. Shareholders are expected to voice their anger at his retirement package, which came despite a massive government bailout. Expect big changes to your journeys into the centre of Manchester from next week. Some trams will stop running for 5 months for a massive track replacement programme. Georgia Calvin-Smith has been finding out more.
Work to replace the 16-year-old city centre tram tracks will begin next week, but the improvements will come at a cost. For the next 6 months, commuters travelling through central Manchester on the trams can expect the experience to be a touch more complicated than in the past. Stops at Shude Hill, Market Street, Mosley Street, Piccadilly Gardens and Piccadilly train station will all be closed, forcing passengers to either use a new bus link service or walk between city centre stations. In addition, a new timetable has been introduced for the remaining trams that will still be in service. The Greater Manchester Public Transport Executive insists that it's doing all it can to make passengers aware of the changes and to get the work done with as few interruptions as possible.
There will be some disruption. I mean, you know, it's a big job to place track work within the size of Manchester. It would have been easy just to sort of blanket the whole city off and stop them, but what we're trying to do is look after the customers as best we can, and to do that, to try and run trams while we're doing construction work is a difficult operation, and that's what we're trying to do. So things will change as we go through different phases of the construction.
It's not just the replacement of the tracks, it's all part of a plan to introduce a number of changes to the Metrolink in the long run. That'll include the introduction of new facilities, the upgrading of city centre stations and eventually even new ticket machines. The work that's starting on Monday is expected to be finished by October, and the hope is that eventually passengers will be able to enjoy a much improved Metrolink.
It's something new, it's something exciting, and as Metrolink rolls out, it will be something different than what it is today. It'll be quieter, hopefully won't be as noisy as it was, and also that we hope that the ride will be a lot smoother than it is today.
Around £100 million are being invested in upgrading the Metrolink. For more information on how the services will run during this stage of work, visit the website below. Georgia Calvin-Smith, Channel M News.
Detectives investigating a stash of police uniforms found in Salford are checking for links with a lorry of them that was stolen in a raid in Glossop. Batons, body armour and handcuffs were among the haul recovered from a house in Lower Broughton, just hours after a Royal British Legion club was robbed by men dressed as bogus officers. Now it's emerged 6 tonnes of old uniforms that were supposed to be taken away for recycling were taken from a business park back in January. Heaton Park could soon get a £35 million makeover. A private company is drawing up plans to build 13 small floodlit football pitches there, as well as a climbing wall, skate park, tennis courts and netball facilities. But it's not going down well with people who live nearby.
I'm not very happy about it. Naturally, living very close to this entrance, we have terrific problems with parking here at weekends. Nobody pays attention to the fact that we actually live here.
As Bury residents, we really have no say in the matter, apart from being able to approach our councillors. So although the scheme itself I have no problems with, the actual location, the placing of it right next door to that access is going to cause chaos in the area.
It's a wonderful sports facility that people have been crying out for a long, long time. So not only football, multi-sports pitches and tennis as well. You'll always get a minority, and of course there is a consultation period. Got to ensure that we do listen to people and shape plans to address any legitimate concerns there may be.
Stephen Gerrard has pleaded not guilty over a nightclub brawl last December. The midfielder is charged with a single count of a fray over a disturbance that saw a businessman lose a tooth and end up with cuts to his face. He was at the Lounge Inn in Southport celebrating Liverpool's 5-1 win over Newcastle when trouble flared. Let's take a look ahead to the weekend sporting action now. With those details, here's Mike Bradley.
Thank you, James, and we're going to begin with some football. There's plenty taking place over the weekend. City and United news to follow, but we're going to begin with a look at Glossop North End's FA Vase semi-final second leg. That's against Chalfont St Peter at Surrey Street tomorrow, and it's a game which is going to be played out in front of a sellout crowd of 1,600. Having drawn the first leg 3-3, boss Stephen Young believes his side will begin the game as slight favourites, with Glossop, a town clearly suffering from a huge dose of football fever.
The village, I've been told, is a buzz all week and it's going to be a carnival atmosphere. You don't think of appearing at Wembley at this level as a player or a manager, so it's an opportunity that we can't afford to let slip through our hands, and I don't think they will. We didn't play well down there, so I'm hoping that that's the one incentive they need to put right on Saturday. If we can come out and play well and be positive, I'm sure we'll get the right result. Our league form's been good. We need to get back into that next week. I've just said to the lads, let's get this game out of the way on Saturday and then let's push on in the league, because we're not out of it. If results go our way and we can keep winning, we're in with a great shout there of finishing higher than we've ever finished in this league, and that's been the main aim this season.
More from Glossop North End on this evening's Great Manchester Football Show from 7 o'clock, and extended highlights of the game on Monday's Breakfast Show. Now in the Barclays Premiership, Manchester United, they're going to be without the injured Wes Brown and Raphael, along with the suspended Wayne Rooney, Paul Scholes and Nemanja Vidic, as they look to avoid a third consecutive league defeat when they entertain Aston Villa on Sunday. And we'll be hearing from Sir Alex Ferguson in our early evening news bulletin from 5 o'clock. But as far as City are concerned, well, they travel to Arsenal tomorrow, and they'll be looking to improve on their recent record against the Gunners in the capital, which has seen them take just a single point from the last 9 league visits. And despite Arsenal's so far inconsistent season, Mark Hughes knows his side are in for another tough afternoon.
They've been open to criticism, more so than possibly in other seasons, but they've come through that. They have the experience of dealing with negative publicity and being able to rise above it and still perform. And they're back in a situation that is of their own making. They've been able to win games and put themselves in a position to exploit if the teams above them slip. And obviously Aston Villa have just had a stumble, and Arsenal have been ready to capitalise on that. So they're playing well at the moment, and very difficult game for us.
And some early team news from the City of Manchester Stadium is that Craig Bellamy, Daniel Sturridge, Benjani, Michael Petrov and Michael Johnson all missed the game through injury. Now in Rugby League, Wigan can put their patchy Super League form behind them. That's with a Challenge Cup 4th round victory at Barrow. But assistant coach Phil Vivers is taking nothing for granted against Sunday's opponents.
Yeah, we've watched some footage on them. They've got plenty of guys there with Super League experience. The likes of Brocklehurst and Noon and Gary Broadbent, so they've got some decent quality players there, and they've got a couple of young guys running around, a couple of centres that go pretty good, and the kid that runs out of 9, he's a pretty smart cookie. So we've done our homework on them, yeah, definitely. Looking at it as a game, it is in the cup, and it's been widely publicised that we aren't playing to our potential with the ball in our hands. So we've done a lot of practice this week about that. All we can do when we come up against Barrow is go up there and try and rectify what we've done wrong with the ball in hand. And if that happens, then it obviously could put us on the right foot to go forward for the rest of the season.
Now switching codes, and Sale Sharks' Mark Quater has been cited for an alleged dangerous tackle on Bath's Andrew Higgins, and he'll appear before an RFU disciplinary panel on Tuesday. But the good news is he will be available for tomorrow's crucial game at Welford Road against the Leicester Tigers, and Sale must win if they are to claim one of the 4 end-of-season playoff places. Congratulations to Lancashire and England bowler James Anderson, who was today named Wisden's Cricketer of the Year. Wigan boss Steve Bruce has revealed his frustration at the news Egyptian striker Amir Zaki, who's failed to return from international duty for a 4th time, and that's a move which could end his stay at the JJB. And finally, former Manchester City boss Sven-Göran Eriksson has been fired as coach of Mexico after they slipped to 4th in their World Cup qualifying group of 6. That's it from me for now, but Sam Goodman will be with you from 5 o'clock with all your latest sports headlines.
Mike, thank you very much for the update. Still ahead this Friday lunchtime, the new rules taking away the takeaways in Bolton, and we meet the talented school pupils whose Easter project's a winner for the 3rd year running.
We did value for money, and we found out that the Malteser egg didn't have the most chocolate in because half of it was on the packaging.
The Bolton one we've won 4 times in a row now, and now the Manchester one we've won 3, so that's just amazing.
Welcome back to Channel M's Lunchtime News. Don't forget our website, channelm.co.uk. It's got plenty more for you to watch, including why a return to rationing is being suggested to help us all get through the recession, and pictures of an impressive life-size model of David Beckham that's been made entirely out of chocolate. That's at channelm.co.uk. Next, pizza shops, kebab houses, fried chicken takeaways, they're all a familiar sight on our streets. But Bolton Council is now so worried how many there are, it's planning a limit, as Nina Warhurst explains.
Well, there are around 150 takeaways like this across Bolton, and now the council says it's going to have to act to protect what it describes as the vitality and viability of the town. So what does that mean? Well, first of all, they're going to ban any more than 2 new takeaways being opened within a 50-metre radius of each other. And secondly, they say they want to stop what they've described as the ghost town appearance of high streets like this. They're going to stop any new takeaways from having metal shutters on the windows, and any existing takeaways with metal shutters are going to have to keep them open between the hours of 9 in the morning and 5:30 in the evening. Well, most councils say they do keep a keen eye on how many takeaways open in their area, but Bolton is the first to effectively enforce an exclusion zone. The question is, of course, whether the people of Bolton are willing to sacrifice the convenience of a takeaway on every corner to protect the image of their high streets.
A major regeneration plan in Urmston is now back on track, according to the council. Some residents had feared the building of a new supermarket, shops, bars and flats could be delayed because of the recession. Beverly Walkden's been seeing how things there are shaping up.
It's not there yet, but council officials hope the best part of Urmston's new Eden Square development will be on time and ready to open by September. This is a massively exciting project right in the very heart of Urmston, which is somewhat of a hidden gem. It's got its own railway station and it's got a real hustle and bustle about the shops here. But any trader will tell you that the economic downturn has made for hard trading conditions, which is why, understandably, some people have expressed concerns over whether this project will grind to a halt.
Trading conditions are very tough at the moment. Obviously with the recession and the town centre development, it's been very, very difficult for the last 18 months, 2 years. I think it'll bring more people into the town, but whether it's going to help local trade, because I believe that the phase 2 of the development isn't being built. So it could be a half-finished development.
It's an ambitious 2-phase project that includes a new Sainsbury's supermarket, a library, car parking facilities, shops, bars and flats that all aim to inject a cosmopolitan feel about this South Manchester suburb. But not everybody's happy about the council's pledge to complete the project despite the economic downturn.
They've got rid of all the local businesses and they're planning on bringing all the national chains in. We don't want that. We've got it at the Trafford Centre, we've got it up at Stratford. You know what I mean? It's just duplicating everything.
The downturn could mean delays, but the fact work is continuing on this site can only be encouraging. Beverly Walkden for Channel M News.
The NHS Trust that runs Manchester's doctors' surgeries is being criticised for not being clean enough. A report from the watchdog in charge of monitoring healthcare has named it among 21 in the country that aren't doing enough to crack down on infections like MRSA, C. diff and Legionella. Georgia Calvin-Smith's got more on this.
The Care Quality Commission is a new combined body responsible for making sure that healthcare providers meet a number of required conditions, including those to do with hygiene and cleanliness. Unfortunately, Manchester has found itself to be in the bottom 21 trusts in the country. So what exactly does that mean?
Well, what it means is, the Healthcare Commission's there to ensure that high standards are maintained throughout the country for cleanliness and procedures throughout doctors in health centres, etc. And obviously at the moment the Healthcare Commission believes that Manchester aren't achieving the standards that they want. So they will have set some new targets and some new agreed levels for them to achieve in the forthcoming periods.
Now an update on a story we first brought you earlier on in the week. Remember this?
Exterminate. Exterminate.
Well, this original Dalek was being auctioned off in Stockport. It was expected to raise £15,000. It actually went for £20,000. Now there are celebrations for pupils at St Thomas's School in West Horton. They've won a search for the region's best Easter projects, fighting off competition from across Greater Manchester, making them, for the third year running, our best experts.
And the idea is that we give them 3 eggs. They've got to compare them, price, weight, packaging, content and of course taste, and decide which is the best value for money, put their findings on a display and then enter the competition.
We did value for money and we found out that the Malteser egg didn't have the most chocolate in because half of it was on the packaging, and the Aero egg had more chocolate in.
This is the 3rd year on the run that they have won the Greater Manchester Regional Final, so well done to St Thomas.
The Bolton one we've won 4 times in a row now, and now the Manchester one we've won 3, so that's just amazing.
Let's take a look now at whether the milder weather is going to last through the weekend with the forecast. Here's Polly Winder.
On the whole, today is going to be a nice dry day, but there will be some cloud around, but also some sunny spells as well. Maximum temperatures today, well, northern areas around Preston, probably around 15 degrees, 16 to 17 around the city centre, so nice and warm, and further south around Macclesfield, probably highs of around 17 degrees. So this morning started off quite a cloudy one, lots of fog around. There's some wet spells you can see there throughout this afternoon. That will clear and leave us with nice dry spells. Unfortunately, this evening it will start off dry, but that patchy cloud will come back. Later in the night we'll see some rain, perhaps some heavier outbursts over higher ground at first from the west, but it will be quite a warm evening. We're looking at minimum temperatures of around 6 degrees, so that's a lot warmer than it has been. Taking a look at how the rest of the day is going to shape up, and the weekend in fact. Ahead to tomorrow, we're going to get some rain tomorrow unfortunately, but it will have highs of around 11 degrees. Then on Sunday, some cloud around, some sunny spells too, highs of around 12, and then Monday temperatures creeping up to 14 degrees. That low-lying cloud is hanging on around.
This is Channel M. Our top stories. Campaigners are stepping up their fight to get millions of pounds of cash handed back to the Christie. It was lost in the Icelandic banking collapse. That, as reports in the Manchester Evening News claim, the MPs are expected to call for charities which lost money to receive compensation. We'll have more on that in our early evening news with Andy Crane from 5 o'clock tonight. But from me and the rest of the Lunchtime team, have a very good afternoon. Bye-bye for now.